And then we're going to just go ahead and jump into this message this morning. It's quite brisk here in St. Louis. I believe it's around 5 degrees or something of that. So drop
And
your
then we're going to
temperature
just go
in.
ahead and jump into this.
Oh, okay, it's we're live on YouTube this morning. Go ahead and drop your temperature into uh, the chat this morning, so that way we can make sure the chat is working. I see Miss House is giving us her greeting, Grand Rising to you. Okay. Uh, the YouTube is working properly this morning. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Okay, my YouTubers, welcome to those of you who in the Zoom room, Zero and Sunny. Wonder where you are. I guess that might be Al. Yeah, so, wherever you are, good morning. Do me a favor, let me know if the volume is loud enough for you. If someone could do that in the chat before we get started, and visually make sure everything's going on, nothing's going on. I'll wait for a response here, and then I'll go ahead. Hey, what's happening, Michelle? Yes, Sunny and Zero. Awesome. Thank you very much. The volume is good. Excellent. So, good morning, Oasis Everywhere family. Welcome to Serendipity Sunday, where we gather not just to listen, but to awaken, remember, and realign with deeper truth of who we are. I'm Greg Stanton, also known as Asar, and today I invite each of you into a message that is both simple and seismic. It is a message about the gift, not the rap kind, not the seasonal kind, but the inner gift that changes absolutely everything when you understand it. So this morning's message is kind of like a game changer. But before we begin, let's take a breath. Let's settle in, and because the gift we are about to explore is alive, immediate, and already within each of us. So let me ask you a question as we get started this morning. Do you know what has been given you? Not the gifts that arrive in boxes, bowls, or tracking numbers, but the gift that determines how you see, how you move, how you create, and how you become. Most people live their lives, matter of fact, their entire lives, unaware that a divine gift has already been placed within them. It's a gift that shapes their outcomes, directs their energy, and colors every experience they call reality. So today's message is an unveiling, a revelation of what you have carried all along unknowingly. And by the end of our time together, you'll know not only what has been given to you, you'll understand how to use this gift consciously, powerfully, most of all, creatively. So we begin with a verse that quietly opens this door. And that verse is one of my favorites. It's James 1 and 17. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. In a season where the world wraps gifts in paper and God, or the one presence, wraps gifts in consciousness, James teaches us that the gifts that matter most don't arrive in boxes, actually. They arrive in us and as us. Now we move into a familiar Christmas scripture to think about this week. And that scripture is Matthew 1 and 23. Behold, a virgin shall be with child and shall bring forth a son. And they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted, God is with us. Now, Emmanuel is not just a title, it's a metaphysical revelation. The divine is not distant, that is Emmanuel. The divine is not visiting, that is Emmanuel. And the divine is inhabiting you, which leads us to today's central question. If God or the one presence is within us and in us, as us, how does this one presence express, create? and move through each of us. Well, if you've been with us most of the year, we've been exploring comedic science, spiritual science. And we find that in comedic spiritual science, creation begins with the C, the SIA. That is, it begins with divine perception. Creation begins with imagination. It begins with inner sight. So we find that the C is the conception space of creation. It is the place where Source, God, the one presence, sees before one presence speaks. So he sees before he speaks, before it speaks. Even Neville Goddard, that was was taught by Abdullah, who rooted him in African mystic thought. He drew directly from this foundation, which brings us to the scripture that unites the mystical and the metaphysical worlds. And this is John 1, 1 through 5. This is really the focal of our teaching today. And it reads like this. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, when without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Now, let me read that from a metaphysical perspective. Same scriptures, and here's how it should read. In the beginning was the imagination, and the imagination was with the one presence, and the imagination was the one presence. The same was in the beginning as the one presence. All things were made by it, the imagination. And without the imagination was not anything made that was made. In imagination was life. And this life was the enlightenment or the illumination of men. And the light shined into darkness of men veiled understanding. And because of the darkness or the veil, they couldn't comprehend it. So we see in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. But when we explore it from a metaphysical perspective, it takes on a whole new meaning. In the beginning was the imagination, and the imagination was with the one presence, and the imagination was the one presence. Now, this is not irreverence, this is revelation. Before there is a word, there must be a picture, an inner forming. Imagination is divine technology. So I grew up, I cut my ministerial teeth in the Word Church back in '80s, early '80s. We would fellowship with. I was part of a church that was called the Spiritual Center. That was unique then. And then we would fellowship with the Crenshaw Christian Center with the late Apostle Fred Price. And so that's when I was really introduced to studying the Word on a whole new level, and trying to understand the Greek, the Hebrew, and it was all about the Word. We understood the power of what we would say, and so there's a step beyond that. We're hearing that today, and this talks about before there's a word, there's something imagined. Before there's a word, there must be a picture. Matter of fact, we respond, we speak out the pictures we see inside. There must be a picture and inner forming. So the imagination is divine technology. So Job is one of the stories that really exemplify this. Job gives us one of the most powerful metaphysical statements in Scripture. You've heard it, and it's Job 3 and 25. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. Job didn't just speak disaster, he imagined it. He imagined it. He rehearsed fear internally. He held pictures of loss. His imagination became his experience. You can imagine yourself into joy or into misery. The gift works either way. And most of us not aware of this divine technology, so we go about creating disastrous lives. Uh, we find Jesus told us to remember Lot's wife. This gives us another look at how imagination can unfold. And why did he tell us to remember Lot's wife? Because Lot's wife demonstrated what happens when imagination is chained to the past. Her feet left Sodom, her imagination did not. And what you cling to in imagination, you crystallize it. Her body was on the other side, but her mind was back there. The past is dangerous not because it happened, but because we're reimagining it daily. I'm going to say it again. Your past is not dangerous because it has happened, but because we reimagine it constantly. We relive it. Many times we find individuals who make a living on you living in the past. Want you to re-experience the hurt, re-experience the poverty you may have been in, re-experience the less than perfect situation, and they gain from it. That same way relive in the past of things that was disastrous, we can live in the past of things that was great. But then you don't want to get stuck in the past because you're not moving in the present. So take a breath again. Today we reclaim our imagination, not as fantasy, but as a sacred faculty, not as an escapism mechanism, but as creation, not as daydreaming simply, but as a divine technology. I want you to know that your imagination is the first movement of one presence in you. The first movement of one presence in you was the imagination. Now, I want you to close your eyes and place your hands on your heart. You're in a safe space. And I want you to imagine a gift being placed within you. Imagine yourself opening up and a gift being given to you. This is the gift of divine imagination, the movement of one presence within you, the power to conceive new possibilities. It's giving you the power to release old narratives. It's giving you the power to reshape or to shape your lived experience from the inside out. Now, you don't need a physical symbol. The real gift is already in each of us. Consider this as an activation. Consider what just went forth as a stirring up of one presence which has already placed in you. So we find 2 Timothy 1 and 6 says, "Wherefore I put thee in remembrance, that thou stir up the gift of one presence, which is in thee by the laying on or the putting on hands." So in the early spiritual communities, the laying on of hands was understood as an awakening, as an intentional activation of a gift that was already present. Paul wasn't giving Timothy a new gift. He was reminding him to rekindle, reignite, to stir up what is already was within him. And I'm doing that this morning for each of you. I want you to rekindle. I want you to reignite. I want you to stir up and maybe just come into the awareness of something you didn't have. In that same spirit, let this moment today be a metaphysical laying on of hands, a reminder, an awakening, an ignition of the divine faculty that lies within each of us. So this week, I want you to really refocus, to tune in to John 1 and 5. I want you to read it not just as you've been reading it your entire life. I want you to read it as if you have just gotten a new understanding. And that new understanding that you read John 1 and 1 through verse 5 with will open the door, will empower you to see things so different. So you'll read it like this. You will say, "In the beginning was the imagination, and the imagination was with the one presence, and the imagination was the one presence." The same was in the beginning as the one present. All things that were made, anything that is ever to be made, is made by the imagination. And the imagination precedes the word. In imagination, we'll find life. And this life enlightens us, it illumines us. There's some who this same light shines to, but it doesn't get through because they read it in a traditional way. They read it in the beginning was the word, but you're missing a critical step. Step beyond the word. Step into the abyss of your imagination. And why I say that? Because the imagination is this field of pure potentiality. Anything that will ever exist on this side exists right now on the other side. In the field, as science, the quantum science will tell us, there's a field. And what you have to do is collapse the field. What I mean by that, you have to take that which is in the invisible, and bring it to the visible realm. And you can only do that by collapsing it, by getting it through that veil, from moving it from a thing imagined to a thing that is present in your life. What is that middle step? That middle step is speak the word. The word tells us to speak the word in season and out of season. That means when things are in alignment and when things are out of alignment, when they're in alignment, you speak an affirming word. You speak in gratitude. When they're out of alignment, you speak a creative word. And you don't rehearse what you're dealing with. You don't rehearse the diagnosis. You don't rehearse the prognosis. You don't rehearse what has happened. You acknowledge all of those things, but you speak, you imagine from another perspective. Just like Job. He spoke a preventive word, but the preventive word was not a positive word, it was a negative word. The thing he imagined. And what did he imagine? He imagined he said pre-adventure his children had made a mistake. Pre-imagine that his children had did what all humans do, make a mistake. But he didn't want the disastrous. He believed that God was a God of disaster. If you do wrong, He will just wipe you out. And many of us been taught that. We've been taught that God sits high, looks low, and He's waiting on you to just mess up. That's so far from the truth. But Job had a reverence for God. And he took his holy reverence and said, "My children are not where I am, but I'm going to pray. I'm going to uh, having sacrifice on their behalf." And he focused on the thing that he feared most, the thing he feared, the false evidence that was appearing real. Nothing was going wrong. They were being kids. They were doing what they were supposed to do. The thing he feared most, instead of saying that my God will get my children to their expected end, the promise that is given, he was thinking about what they could be doing wrong and getting wiped out. So the thing he feared most came upon him. Same with us. The thing that we fear is the very thing that manifests in our lives. And if we take that same energy and imagine what it is you desire to experience, it can change a lot of things. If you fear negative numbers on a test, then guess what number's going to come up on a test? Because you're giving life to that. You're giving energy to it. But if you just stand inside of that, irrespective of what the numbers are, I shall live and not die. I shall prosper. I shall not fail in anything I endeavor to do. Just shifting how you look at things. Lot's wife was a great example, as I shared. She took the seduction of the past. And how many of us allows the seduction of our past to get in the way of our present? Yes, we see that she left Sodom physically, but she had never left mentally. I'm reminded of a story I heard many years ago about two monks was going for a journey, and they had a vow not to engage with women. And they were on a trip, and as they were going, they came in contact with this woman that was standing at the bank of this river because she couldn't swim. And so she wanted to get to the other side, and she shared with them where she was going. She had to get there, but she couldn't swim, and she was, afraid of if she got into the river, not knowing even how deep it was, she couldn't make it to the other side. So one of the monks picked her up and carried her to the other side. And when he got to the other side, he let her down. And about 5 miles into this journey, the monk who had carried the lady across stopped and said, "Wait a minute, I noticed you've been silent. You've been contemplating something." He said that to his fellow monk. And the monk said, "Yes, I'm concerned because back there, you picked that lady up, and you brought her across the river." And then the monk who did that say, "This is true. But I'm concerned because I let her down back there, and you've been carrying her for 5 miles." And what that says is what we carry in our minds is the thing that will trouble us. If we learn to let things go, we find that things are totally different for us. So, again, this morning, I want us to reclaim our imagination, not as fantasy, not as child's play, but as sacred faculty. I want you to know that this gift that each of us has, that we need to activate, is a divine imagination. You all have it. It's the one presence within you, waiting to operate through you as you. It gives you the ability to conceive new possibilities, again, to release old narratives and to shape your lived experience from the inside out, not from the outside in. There you have it. Before we move into our closing inspiration, let's pause for a sacred moment of circulation. If today's brief message has stirred something in you, if a light has come on, if a remembrance awakened, if the inner gift felt restored or reignited, then I invite you to honor this moment through the spiritual practice of giving. Giving is not a transaction, just as Source gave us the ability to imagine, not as a transaction. If you do this, if I give you this, if you know, back and forth kind of thing. It's not a transaction, it's a transformation. So is giving. It is the outward expression of an inward realization. Did you know that when you give, you actually declare, "I recognize the gift within me. I recognize the power within me. I recognize the overflow in my life." It says, "I trust the source that sustains me. I participate in divine circulation consciously and joyfully, intentionally and deliberately." So your giving is a continuation of today's teaching. It's an act of imagination, an act of alignment, attunement, and activation. You may give via Cash App or Zelle, and if you're doing so, use the number 708-368-1076. 708-368-1076. Or you can do so by visiting solutionsforliving.com. Go over to the giving tab, find the way that it resonates with how you would like to give, and have at it. So let your offering today be a word of intention, a seed of gratitude, a reflection of the gift that now lives awakened in each of us. So together we're going to affirm this. I'll affirm it once, and then let's affirm it together as it pertains to our sowing of this seed. As I give, good flows. As I sow, life grows. As I release, I rise. Divine circulation never denies. So let's do that together. Even if you don't have anything to give this morning, you can participate. Imagine what it is you would like to give. And when that shows up in your life, don't forget to give. So let's do that together. Take your imaginary wallet in your hand and say, "As I give, good flows. As I sow, life grows. As I release, I rise. Divine circulation never denies." Thank you. Thank you. Here's the truth. You carry the gift that shapes your world. You can imagine forward like Job or backwards like Lot's wife. You can imagine fear or you can imagine faith. You can be frozen by memory or formed by possibility. Emmanuel means one presence within you, creating through you. The divine imagines in you, through you, as you. Your imagination is not something you have, it's something you are. This is the gift that changes everything. And now, let us move from concept into consciousness, from understanding into embodiment, from awareness into prayer. Why don't you close your eyes? Mother, Father, God, one presence, one power, the divine imagination that dreamed galaxies into being. We speak this word for every soul gathered here today. The gift within them awakens, the inner eye opens, the creative faculty is stirred into holy remembrance. No longer do they imagine from fear like Job, nor from the past like Lot's wife, but from the divine blueprint encoded within. Every thought is guided, every image is aligned, every inner picture is blessed. Their imagination becomes a sanctuary of possibility, a birthplace of miracles, a fountain of new beginnings. They walk from this moment as Emmanuel made visible. That is, one presence within expressing through their vision, choice, and becoming. This word is established, this prayer is done, and so it is. Amen. Awesome. So, as we prepare to transition, may you carry this truth this week. Your imagination is sacred, your consciousness is creative, your gift is active. It's been stirred up this morning. If you would like to go deeper, ask questions, or share reflections, I invite you to join us in the green room immediately following this service. For those of you who are moving on, dress warm and enjoy your day. There, we continue the conversation in the community, clarity and connection for those who want to join us. So I look forward to seeing each of you there. Awesome. All right, as we prepare to make the transition over to the green room, and as others drop off, and as we have a brief conversation, because I have to speak at another church this morning, so I won't entertain a long conversation in the green room, but I have some time that I've set aside that we can chat. If you got a question about anything that has been spoken to as it pertains to the imagination, let's do that. Keep our conversations focused and intentional. So let me see here. If there's any hands, go ahead and raise your hands if you got a question. I want to say good morning to those who in the Zoom room, Miss House. Good to see you, Carolyn. It's good to see you, Michelle. Good to see you, Rachel, Mom. Who else I see in the green room? Miss House. Let me see here, and Cheryl. So, Rachel said, "I'm gonna start at the top and see if I got any questions." Everybody's experiencing some cold weather I see today. Rachel said, I was in the imagination, the mind of source from the beginning. I was there, but not in physical form." That's right. Because the essence of who you are is a spirit being anyway. This physical form is temporary. We focus too much on the temporary experience versus the eternal experience. We've been here a long time, not in this form, but since creation. In the beginning, all things was there in that quantum field. Then Source brought it forth. Let there be light. And perhaps somebody said at some point, let us have a child. And they spoke you into being. Rachel said, could Job have been ritualistic in addition to being called righteous? Yes, by him offering in case, just in case. And guess what? Some give just in case a dry season comes, I can expect an exchange from God because I've given. So that's right on target, Rachel. a good insight. It was ritualistic, and many things that we do them ritualistically instead of from the present moment of here right now and with a clear understanding. By him offering the in case of sin. That preaches right there. In case, just in case. How many of us get a second job just in case? How many of us have people on the side just in case? How many have, I mean, what is your just in case? How many of you saving for a rainy day just in case? Guess what? The rain comes, the perfect storm comes and wipes everything away. Good point, Rachel. Appreciate that. All right. I don't see any hands up. Not in that you're being stuck up, but any hands up as if you have a question or needing clarity. Let me look in here on the Zoom room side to see, not just the YouTube side, to see if there's any question. Hey, there's Myrna there. Good to see you. You're hiding out over there, Amaya, and you are watching. That's great. Good to see both of you all. We'll miss your lovely voice. If you have anything, just drop it in the chat there. Okay, well, it's good. So I was blessed as I put this message together. I was really blessed, and it just reminded me that we don't use our imaginations as often and as frequently as we should. But I want you to meditate on this John 1 and 1. I really want you to meditate on John 1 and 1 through verse 5. And I want you to take some time. Matter of fact, I'm going to drop that right here in the chat so you will have it. So you have the metaphysical way in which I read that to you. So let me copy and paste that and drop that right in the chat so you will have that to meditate on. Okay, hopefully this will work. There it is. Let me drop it in the chat over. Okay, Myrna, I didn't forget about you. I see you over there. I'm gonna see if I can drop that in the YouTube chat. I believe it's there. Let's see. Oh, I only can put so much in there. So let me bag that out and see if I can do half. It only allows a us so many characters. So give me a moment. Let me put this in there for our YouTubers so they'll have it. Bear with me. And maybe while I'm doing that, somebody may have a question or something they want to ask. You can type it in or any kind of aha moment you may have had. Go ahead and type that in while we serve our other part of the community this morning. There you go. I'm putting that in there. That's dropping in there. And I got one last piece to drop in there. And then our YouTubers will have the entire thing and they can take that into meditation this week. Awesome. Good. Oh. Let me see here. It's not, let me get the last piece in there. Let me go back and put this last piece in. Awesome. Anybody got any testimonies they want to share before we close out this morning? And then I have this last piece I'll drop in, and Myrna and Maya, you guys will have the entire comedic physical rendition of John 1 through 5. There you go. You might have to copy and paste, but it's all there for you all. All right, I see one hand up over here. Good morning, Cheryl. How are you doing this morning?
Grand Rising Diviners, I'm doing quite well, thank you.
How's
How
your
are
mom?
you?
I'm doing extremely well. How's your mom?
Good. Let me tell you what she did this morning. That's why I'm on the call. She's been very weak and walking with a walker. But this morning she had to use the restroom and she shot in there like
Days of old.
I'm telling you, no walker, no nothing. By
Uh,
the time she was in the restroom already. I said, wow.
Excellent.
Excellent. I mean, before, and I'm right, like it's her bedroom, then it's the bathroom, and then it's the room where I sleep. By the time I was able to get to the door, she was already in the restroom. So that is like quite amazing because she has not moved that fast in weeks.
Excellent. Well, we pray that her strength is being restored as that
Yes.
medication leaves her system, and we thank the medical science, those who identify that there's some medical management that needs to be taken care of, and that
Yes.
as a result of that, it impacted her. And for all of you who are seniors or who have seniors in your life, pay attention to the medications that they are taking, the dates on them, and if they say some medications can actually be too strong and cause things to go wrong. But we thank Source. We thank the wisdom of those who are around Cheryl's mom, that because of that, she's in a much better state this morning. And we speak life to her. We envision her to be that spry person that she has always been, the ability to move life around. And we hold up for all of our seniors this morning, even ourselves as we age, that this word says with long life we shall be established. Long life is not to be determined as a linear years, but to me, long life means quality of life. It's with quality life. Until the day I exit this plane, I want quality of life.
Yes.
We have told the source, if I can't have quality of life, let me just sleep on away from here. I don't desire it. I'm not even going to speak it. I'm only going to see how I'm living into long life. So don't.
Yeah.
So he says. So don't see. So sometimes when I visit um, Cheryl's father in the veterans home, I see these men who, and if I could think back, sometimes I try to imagine what they were like 20, 25, 30 years ago when they were in the prime of their lives. They were strong, they were independent. And now I see so many of these men just sitting there in wheelchairs, sitting in silence. And I'm like, man, that's not living. And so I just have affirmed that I shall live and I shall not die. I shall not have to find myself in a wheelchair bound or find myself in a state where I'm encapsulated in a mind that can't communicate. And I just rejoice and I just focus on that. So I try to, when I go there, I try not to drift to that kind of conversation. We got to watch. We got to watch because it says all gifts come from above. That is from your imagination. And the thing you imagine the most will ultimately show up in your life. Awesome. Okay, good. I got a couple other hands. Then I'll be right with you, Carolyn. Mom, you have the mic. Thanks, Cheryl.
You're
Good
welcome.
morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I am truly wonderful, blessed.
Excellent.
My imagination runs wild with me.
Also, yes, all of us. All of
I tell you, yesterday I looked around at my house. Well, I don't have a caregiver. They don't know why, but it don't matter. I say, oh, I can do this. I can do that. My imagination was so strong. I sit down. I'm still imagining that my joints, my bones, everything is stabilized, and I am going to be able to move on my own without these wheels. Yeah, I still use a walker. I revert back to that four-wheeler I got in 2016. I got a bag for it. So, and I hear you telling me, Ma, don't fall. I say, I'm not going to fall, Greg. And I just move. But my imagination is my limbs are stronger. I'm
yes,
able to do my work.
yes,
I'm able to prepare my food. I am truly able to do everything. I
yes,
am able.
yes,
So my imagination, oh man, you wouldn't believe it. I don't have imagination of being rich. That don't bother me. I don't have imagination of not being hungry. That don't bother me. My imagination is I am able and I will be more walkable. I will be using these appliances they give me, but not because I have to. So
Right.
that is, I am able, and my imagination. Oh, it's cold outside. I'm not going anywhere, but my imagination said, "Don't you want to go?" No.
Okay. So here's this good thing, and I must correct myself. Instead of saying to you, "Don't fall," I want to just say to you, continue to pay attention to your steps, walk slowly, not rush, versus saying, "Don't fall," because the thing you say, because I'm saying it from the fear of. So I want to cancel that out right now because I don't want you to experience something because of my fear of projection, which you begin to rehearse. So you rise, you say, today my steps are ordered. I'm conscious of what I do, how I move, and you do that. You say that. And in doing so, you don't have to mention the negative aspect of I'm not going to fall. I don't want to fall. You say my steps are firm. Even though I move slow, I'm still on the go. So you say things like that versus not what you don't want. Say what you want. So, like you, all of us have to watch our imaginations because the things we imagine are the very things that happen. All right. Good. Thanks you, Mom.
Thank you.
Yep. Good. Get ready for those Bears.
I'm ready.
Yes, yes. Good morning, Carolyn. You have the mic. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, thank you, sir. And yes, it is cold in Mississippi, Rachel. It is cold here. But listen, as you were teaching this morning, it really took me back to early '80s when I was first introduced to Florence Shinn.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I remember reading in the Game of Life, and I just went back and looked it up, and I'll just read it real brief. It says, a person with an imaging faculty trained to imagine only good, brings into his life every righteous desire of his heart. The imagination has been called the scissors of the mind and is ever cutting, day by day, the pictures man sees there. And sooner or later, he meets his own creations in his outer world. The mind sees life as it appears to be. The mind of Christ sees the mind of Christ sees it as the realm of perfect ideas. So I paraphrase that a little bit, but you get the essence of it. What
Yeah.
we imagine, as a man thinketh in his heart,
Yes.
so is he.
Yes. So we're going practical. So we've been talking about the comedic creation, pata, and we talked about some of the other principles inside of that. So I'm not here to just give you a history lesson, but I want to erase the mystery of those lessons. I want you
Right.
to understand that now the real essence of that is that we are God or we are creators. We operate within the pattern or the pattern of the patah, which is patah comes the word father, or paternal comes from patah. The word paternal means pattern. And so we have to learn the pattern or the principles. And that's what it's all about. So, one of the principles we're exploring today, this week, is the principle of the imagination. My friend and I, Myrna, is been imagining her coming to St. Louis, and we're close. It's already happened. I had the opportunity to have a conversation with her via text message, and I see that her publicist, I believe that's her publicist, has connected with Mr. Goins here in St. Louis, and I pray that favor is found. I'm going to make sure that when I see him, I'm going to say, "Hey, we're looking forward to you bringing the America's Songstress to St. Louis." So I'm advocating on your behalf, Myrna. It's going to happen. Cheryl's advocating on your behalf, and guess what? The universe is advocating on your behalf because all you have to do is see yourself here and you'll be here. Awesome, awesome. Let me see if there's any other hands up. I don't think so. I think all hands are down. Everything has been addressed. The universe is like a genie. That's right, abracadabra. The word abracadabra is, they say, a Hebrew word, but it means I create as I speak, abracadabra. Or when you rub the lantern, we listen to remember that story. You had three wishes. We have to be careful how we use them. So the universe is in fact like a genie, correct, Rachel? Your wish or your imagination will be as it commands. So be careful what you ask for, because you'll get it. All right, that's all I have this morning. I got to get myself together and prepare to get out of here. I will see you all in the 6 o'clock hour on tomorrow. For those who join us for morning meditations, you want to know more about that, go to the website solutionsforliving.com. Go over to the prayer line, and you'll get the 800 or the number that you can call and drop in on us. We would love to have you become part of that community. So that's all I have. No, no, that's all I will share this morning, because I have so much more, as Cheryl often say. You don't have to give them everything, but at this point I gave you something. All right. Take care. I love you guys, and we'll see each other on the other side. Stay warm. Catch a football game today. All right. Peace. I'm out.